Normally, me, I don't do brokerage. I don't deal with brokers. I like sourcing for myself. I go where the consumer is, we negotiate, I supply, and I deliver. And what is mostly required for poultry is the carbohydrates. And these carbohydrates, we get them mainly from maize. Well, for me, I use the deep litter system. I don't like the what you call the battery system. There is no harm if you keep a few of the Kenyan chicken with the broilers, so that so long as you absorb the hygiene and the proper medication. My name is Eustace a livestock officer by profession. I live in Matasia, that is where my farm is located. Matasia, Kajiado County, that is in Ngong area. And my poultry farm is called Matasia Poultry Masters, whereby I major in indigenous chicken, improved Kenyan chicken, and broiler farming. I got started because I had that vision since I was young. I started with a cock and 3 hens. Initially, it was for my family use to get my eggs for my family and for our use. And then eventually, as we went on, we grew, and I said I can also venture into ranch numbers. Initially, I was doing indigenous chicken. Then as the days went by, I decided I can expand on indigenous chicken and start also improving them into improved kienyeji, whereby I can get eggs and I get a few chicken for us to eat at home. That is how we started. And then I also said I can also do the kienyeji, improved kienyeji alongside the meat buns, that is the broilers, just for our family enterprise, so that you can get some extra income. Well, the biggest challenges in the early stages is that sometimes if you are working, you leave the chicken during the day, you give them enough food, enough water, you're not sure whether they are going to eat, whether they are going to pour the food, so you are at the mercy of working and having the chicken at home. But you can you feed in the morning, and when you come in the evening, you check them. So as days went by, I was able to engage somebody who could be able to take care of the chicken when I'm away. And when I come, especially over the weekends, I do it myself. And when my children grew up, I decided I should also engage them so that we can help each other in the family enterprise. Well, the investment depends on your choice. You can say you want to become an indigenous chicken farmer, you want to become an improved Kenyan chicken farmer, or a broiler farmer. But the initial investment, don't start if you don't have at least 50,000 into your pocket, because you need a house, you need to source for food, you need to buy the food, you need also money for medication, and also you need money for transport, because we live in the urban area. You don't transport chicken on paper bags. You have to transport them hygienically, especially if you are taking the meat or the eggs. So you need some cash. You need some cash which is flowing. Yes. But with 50,000, you are going to start, if it is your family business. Well, okay, my basic training is on livestock, livestock production, that is. So I have knowledge on how to rear this chicken and how to keep them as a business. So I decided, instead of teaching farmers or teaching other people how to rear their chicken. Then they do the chicken, they make money as I watch. So I said I can also do it as a business. Where it was, let's say it is market driven, or demand driven. You rear what people demand, and you rear what you can get in the market and be able to sell. We say we start small and you grow with your business. You know, sometimes you may hear people saying that chicken business is very luxurious, because if I keep 1,000 chicken and this chicken I'm selling at 1,000, I start saying I become a millionaire. But you know, you have to know where to sell your chicken. Don't start with 1,000 and then when you sell 100, the rest 900, you don't know where to sell. You have to have a constant market, and you keep your chicken in phases if you have to meet the demand and supply. Otherwise, if all the 1,000 grew on one day, the consumer cannot be able to take 1,000 chicken. So you have to keep it in phases. You know the consumer needs your chicken every week, how many, every 2 weeks, how many. Then you plan yourself, and you're in good market. Well, for a poultry farmer, you and has to start early. You know, chickens, they wake up earlier than us. So you make sure by 6, before they start crowing and making noise, you are already up. So 6 a.m. you are up, you give them the water, you give them the food, and then you let them stay with that food until around in the afternoon, around 2 or 3. Then you do the second feeding in the afternoon, 2, 3. Then by 5 p.m. they are through the feeding and they are ready to go and sleep. You also have to plan yourself. You feed. If you keep them, you have to collect the eggs. If you don't collect the eggs, there are a lot of breakages, because the chicken, they like laying on one place. If all of them crowd on one place, you have a lot of breakages of the eggs. So you have to time when to collect the eggs and when to feed. If it is for broilers, you have to know your housing. Don't congest them so much, otherwise if they are so crowded, they will step on one another and they die. If the house is too big, they spend a lot of time running around and they will not put on weight. So there you lose money, because you want them to put on weight as fast as possible. So you plan yourself from 6 a.m. up to evening, and we say the farmer does not rest, because you have to wake up very early in the morning, in the evening you are there, and you have to check to make sure all your barns are okay. Well, for me, I use the deep litter system. I don't like the what you call the battery system, because the battery system is for commercial people. Mine is semi-commercial. I'm not fully commercial. So I prefer the deep litter, whereby I can put wood shavings and other things, so that those barns, they can make manure for my small farm. I use the manure for my farm, and I can also sell the extra manure to adjacent neighbors. You minimize visitors. When visitors come to your place, make sure they don't enter into a poultry house. Talk to them when they are far away. If they have to enter, let them wear the clothes that are designated for the poultry house. And you have to make sure you have the footbaths where you have the disinfectants. And also don't allow chicken from other sources to mix with your chickens. That way you'll be able to keep the visitors and minimize the disease incidences. Sometimes I do make my own when there is availability of raw materials. Like when there is plenty of maize and you have maize jam and you have other raw materials like the what you call cotton seed, all those raw materials, you buy in plenty when the prices are low and you stock, so that you can be able to make half ration which is made at home and the other which is commercially made. That way you can break even and you minimize the production costs. This chicken, most of them are confined. They don't go out to forage. So you have to meet all the nutritional requirements for them by yourself. And what is mostly required for poultry is the carbohydrates. And these carbohydrates, we get them mainly from maize. So if you have enough maize, you are good to go. You only source the protein. The protein, you can get it from what you call animal protein, like the bone meal. You can have the omena or the chicken and fish meal. You can get the plant protein whereby you have the soya beans and the what you call the leftovers from sunflower, from cotton. Then you mix and your chicken will get the protein. Supplementary feeding, not so much. I want to do that for my indigenous chicken, the Kenyan ones. I sometimes get the greens from the farm. I hang them so that they can get proteins and they can get the vitamins. Otherwise, this other supplementary feeding, it may not be there because it is not available. Where it comes to, what did you say, the drugs, medication, once in a while you have to medicate the chicken. You have the diseases that is a must, like the Newcastle disease, which you call them notifiable diseases. You have to vaccinate. You have the diseases like Nguboro. Those ones you can't do without vaccination. Otherwise, these other medications, you only medicate when there is an outbreak. Mostly is when they are young. The young chicks, they feed on anything that is on the ground. So you have to give them antibiotics in case they feed on something which is bad or which has bacteria, then the antibiotics will do. Otherwise, if your environment is clean and your savings and the beddings are clean, then diseases are minimal. Well, it's what you call routine. So when you go to business, your chicken, you have to ask the person who is supplying you with the chicks, how do you vaccinate against what diseases? And then you have to know where you come from. Some diseases are more prevalent in certain areas than other areas. Some are prevalent in cold areas, some are prevalent in warm areas. So you have to know, mainly if I have to vaccinate for Newcastle, for Nguboro, or for typhoid, how often? Like now, these days, when you buy your chicks from the hatchery, they are already vaccinated. So they are in your place for about 2 weeks. 3 weeks, you only need to do other vaccination after 3 weeks. But initially, before when we started, we had to do it ourselves. You start from day one, you go for 1 week, another 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. You vaccinate against the diseases that are more prevalent in your area. So my viewers, as you see me moving around, this area has a lot of cubicles. I put the cubicles so that every time I have chicken, there is a cubicle for the chicks, there is a cubicle for growing chicken, and there is a cubicle for the chicken that are ready. And then on my right hand side, you can see a wall here. I'm also I keep other livestock. So here I keep dairy goats alongside the chicken, and the chicken open they occupy the lower side. So as I'm moving to open this door, I'm opening where I have the grower, brood kienyeji, which are about 3 months old, 2 months before I release them for the market for slaughter. And as you can see, as I open this door, so I get into the house. This is where I keep my improved Kenyan chicken. As you can see, when you start keeping the improved Kenyan, there are farmers who don't want to brood because they feel it is expensive or they have no time for brooding. So we brood for them. So these chickens, they look few, but there were many to begin with. So we start selling them when they are 1 month old. You sell when they are 2 months old. You sell when they are 3 months old or 4 months old, depending on what the consumer wants. And as you can see, my small cubicle, the way it is done, you go extending your house as the chickens become many or few. If they are few, you bring these card bones together. If they are many, you extend the house, and then they are comfortable. Then, when it comes to feeding, people waste a lot of food. If this container was down at the floor there, these cuckoos, when they are playing around with the sawdust, they will make the container very dirty, and then the food will be contaminated. So you raise your container. As the hens grow, you check the container and the level of the chicken hen. So if the chicken, the level of the chicken neck, when the neck, you see the way they are moving at the container, you lower it where they can reach it. If it is too high, they will not eat. If it is too low, they will damage the food. So you go hanging and dropping as they grow. Same to your water. Don't put the water on the ground because it's going to be very dirty. You can see I'm putting the stones. There's the first stone, the second stone. So the first stone is when they were very young. The second stone is when they are growing. When they grow big, I just raise as they grow so that you minimize contamination and wastage. And as you can see, the place is not damp. If you have containers that are faulty, the chicken house is going to be very, very dirty, very damp, and then dampness attracts bacteria to multiply. Sometimes I handle myself, and when need be, I call the veterinarian to come and do it for me. Mostly, that's a challenge, because our market system is not very structured. So sometimes you find the prices are very high. They keep on fluctuating, depending on the season. When we are nearing our festivities, like during Easter holidays, Christmas holidays, that is when the prices are good. These other times, the prices are just, you stabilize. But basically, like now, if it is for broiler chicken, you normally sell a broiler which is between 1.4 to 1.5 kilos at about 500 to 600 shillings. If it is for the eggs, if they are indigenous eggs, 25 shillings to 25 shillings per egg at the moment. These are the improved kienyeji. If they are the jogos, the cocks, 1200 to 1500 for a jogo that is about 4 to 6 months old. If it is for the mares or the hens, about 800 shillings a piece. The challenges are there because if you are a small scale farmer, for you to make profit is difficult. Imagine I'm keeping about 100 chicken and somebody else is keeping 1,000 chicken and the market is 1. So the person who is selling 1,000, he can sell at a cheaper price than me and make a profit. But me, if I sell the way the one who is selling 1,000 is selling, I am at a loss. So I don't go for those high head market. I try to market my chicken as locally as possible. I outlet the butchers, the local butchers, the Machoma outlets, and my neighbors. Normally, me, I don't do brokerage. I don't deal with brokers. I like sourcing for myself. I go where the consumer is, we negotiate, I supply, and I deliver. Yes, sometimes people oversee that one. You may go in a matatu and you find somebody is carrying his chicken meat in a gane bag, a gunia. Wewe umekaa pale kwa matatu, unaona umekalia huko chini, unaona damu inatoka, unauliza damu imetoka wapi? Unaambiwa ni kuku tunapeleka wapi? City market. That is very unhygienic, because by the time that chicken reaches the city market, it has already taken a lot of bad organs, which can bring health hazards. People should be enlightened. If you are carrying your chicken, no matter how few they are, even if they are 10, you can use a cool box. If they are more than 10, you can use a container which is refrigerated, so that if you take about an hour or two before the delivery point, that meat is not going to be I mean, it's not going to go bad before you reach the destination. So people should be enlightened. Some people take it for granted that hii ni kuku tu, wacha nipepe na nipeleke. Anachinja usiku, alafu anapeleka asubuhi. Anjui by the time the morning comes, how many bacteria have multiplied in that chicken. Manure, we have a compost heap. Once one lot is gone, is finished, we clean the house. We put the manure in a heap. We let it grow. We let it decompose. We use it in our farm, and we also sell. What we are trying to do now is normally, because of the cost of electricity, you can use solar energy, especially for brooding. When the chicks are young, you use the solar energy, and also the cost of charcoal is also very expensive. Instead of using the charcoal that we get directly from the plants, I mean from the trees that are burnt, we make the charcoal from the waste, the soil and the charcoal waste, what you call the charcoal briquettes. Those ones are cheaper than making them. We also want to tell people not to destroy our environment. So that is what we do. And in the case of improved kienyeji, we try to use our local hens, those ones which sit on eggs. If I have about 10 sitting on the eggs and I give each 10, then I'm sure I'll get 100 chicken. So that way I will minimize the use of incubator and electricity, because my chicken will be the brooder. Once they are about a month, I take them and put them in the house, and then the mother can walk away. So guys, people have to know how to handle their chicken. You see the way I'm holding them. The wings up, and then that way the chicken is very comfortable. When you hold the wings, it will lower itself down and you don't damage. But don't hold the wings when the chickens are too heavy, otherwise you break the wings. If they are too young, you can hold them like that. That way they will feel very comfortable. If they are big enough, you carry them with you hold them with your hands and put them on the, I don't know how, on your arms. That way you see they are so comfortable. And people should know, here I'm having improved kienyeji. One chicken has no feathers on the neck. Another one has feathers on the neck. There is a myth that says the ones that have naked neck, they put on weight more than the ones that are more than the ones that have all the feathers on their neck. So because you are in the market, sometimes you grow what the customer demands. If the customer says, I need a naked neck, that is what you give. If the customer says, I need these other ones, this is what you give. But with me and my experience, I see no difference because they are all chicken. But you know, there are some who say, I don't want to keep black chicken because they are associated with something like witchcraft or traditions. So if I'm in a place that where they don't keep the black ones, then I will not keep the black ones. I'll keep the brown ones. If you go to other places, people will say the white eggs are the ones that are for indigenous chicken. Others will say the brown eggs are the ones that are commercially done. So the egg, what determines the egg, the quality of the egg, is what you feed the chicken on. If you don't feed your chicken on greens, that egg will not be having that coloration that you call brown, and unaita ya kienyeji. Hii ya kienyeji inakuwa tamu kwa sababu ina forage na inakula on various things that it gets into the compound. But the ones that are confined, you have to feed the greens once in a while so that you improve the quality of the egg. So this is where I keep the other type of chicken, the broilers. We call them meat buns because we rear them for the table, or for they are either called meat buns or table buns. These are only reared for meat, and you keep them for a maximum of about 8 weeks. You start selling them for meat when they are 6 weeks old. These ones of mine, they are about 2 weeks old. Now they are feeding on broiler starter. After 3 weeks, I'll change the food to broiler finisher. Then at 6 weeks, I'll start selling them. So you can see this bulb. It's called infrared bulb. It's used for brooding. When I want to brood the chicks, or when it becomes night time, I lower the bulb, and I bring the heat as closer to the chicken as possible. As they grow, you go raising the bulb. When they reach about 3 weeks and they have grown the feathers, you don't need that anymore. They can stay without the bulb. So you can use this, and you can use the charcoal for brooding. And I told you, you can see the way my cardboards are put. As they grow, I extend the house. So eventually they will occupy the whole of this space by the time I come to sell them for meat. Then for curiosity purposes, you may find some of the chicks here are not white like the others. Can you see the ones that are colored? So those colored ones is part of the improved kienyeji. There is no harm if you keep a few of the kienyeji chicken with the broilers, so that so long as you absorb the hygiene and the proper medication. The kienyeji ones will grow, they will not grow as fast as the broilers. So when you sell your broilers at 6 weeks or 8 weeks, your kienyeji chicken will be about 2 months old. That time they will be ready to go and stay on their own. You can leave them outside, they get their food outside, and they get the quality of the meat that you would want as the kienyeji chicken. Oh yes, because like now, if you're in business, when you give your chicken to sit on the eggs, you are not sure how many are going to hatch, and you need to multiply, and you need the numbers. So these days you can get what you call incubators. That incubator, you can get an incubator for as little as 20,000 or even 18,000. An incubator that has a capacity of accommodating about 50 eggs. So if you get that one, then you are sure. If you get 2 incubators, you are sure of getting your 100 eggs every 2 weeks. And as days go by, you can improve and buy a bigger one. And you can also get incubators that are using solar, and even there are some that use kerosene. Yes. Things have to change because we are in urban areas. We are selling a lot of our farmland, and people need to eat. People are living in skyscrapers. You can imagine if you are a neighbor as an accommodation which is a housing about 20 or 30 people, and those people need eggs, they need chicken, they need the meat. So that will be your first target, and that is what you call farm gate produce. If they know they get it from your farm, and they visit your farm and they see the hygiene levels, then they always come to you. They will not go to other sources. So that will be your first source, your first market. And again, that is becoming small. Beef is normal. It's too expensive. Also, people abuse the beef. You might be given meat that has already, the cow was treated yesterday, and then the meat is in the market. So you have to know where you source your food from. My main advice is start, but don't keep because I'm keeping. Keep because you like it, and you must love the chicken. Don't keep because you want to make money. Keep because it is business. You love your chicken, and you must manage them nicely. And don't keep to become a millionaire overnight. You start small and grow with your business. For more than 20 years. Yes. I started when my kids were small, and I'm still in it. And now they are grown ups. Some are taking it up from me, so that there is continuity of the business. The future is there. We need the chicken. Chicken is good for growing children. It is rich in fiber. It is also good for people who are elderly like me. You don't eat a lot of red meat. We are told when you are young, eat as much white meat as possible, and when you are old, you also eat as much white meat as possible, so that you don't get these health conditions. Yes. So the future is there, because people have to keep these things to get animal protein. We have no land, but you can occupy the space that you have and rear your chicken on the backyard of your household. Lastly, as I conclude, I like encouraging farmers not to do farming business individually. It is good to do it as a group, because when you do it as a group, you explore the market. If you do it alone, you may not know where the market is. But as a group, one of you can be a marketer, the other one can be a farmer, and the other one can be a vet, so that in the group you have all categories of people. You help one another. And you become a member of certain organizations that deal with farming. Like me, I'm a member of Nairobi International Show, whereby every year I have to go. I get book a stand. I keep my chicken there for the purpose of marketing, and also so that I can be able to learn what other farmers are doing, the new technologies and everything. So by the time I go to the show, I do what you call value addition. Don't just take a whole chicken, because if I come to buy a whole chicken from you here, I will go with the intestines, I will go with the legs, I will go with everything. But if you come to my farm, I only sell you the meat. The rest that is in the stomach, that is the intestines, and the legs, I can feed for my dogs, or I can pack and sell to people who keep dogs. Then the liver and the gizzard, you market it separately, so that you add more value to that chicken. Then at the end of the day, I also sell the manure. So when you sell the whole chicken, you only get your 500 shillings and nothing else. And me, I go and eat the gizzard, I eat everything. But if I sell you without the gizzard you don't get me some extra income. And that chicken, when you add it, it may end up giving me about 800 shillings a piece, around 500 shillings. Well, social media, yes, like now here in Kajiado, We have our WhatsApp forum. We call it Kajiado North Poultry Farmers Group. We have Kajiado County Poultry Farmers Group. We have individual groups. So people can always, when they go into my WhatsApp, when they go into the Facebook, they can always get me. And they'll chat to me, and I encourage them to come and visit so that you get what you see. My phone number is, you can reach me on Safaricom on 0712 06 3591. If you want to use Airtel, you can reach me on 0733 782096. I used to, but right now I don't, because I'm leaving it to the young generation to do it. I used to train people on poultry diseases, poultry management, on farm, as groups, as individuals. Now, if you come to me and request, I will still do it. But I'm not doing it as a business.